What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We got a special interview in honor of Bill Tully. We are here with Eternal Bleeding. Thank you so much, brother.
Internal bleeding. We got to make sure everybody fucking remembers
that.
No, I think you said eternal bleeding. There's another band called Eternal Bleeding from somewhere else. Fuck them.
Internal Bleeding.
No, I'm just kidding. They're probably nice kids though. Internal Bleeding, but OG Long Island death metal band from '91. I'm not an original member. Chris Pravelis is the only remaining original member from the '91 era. Billy Tully was another OG member. Last year on April 20th, he had an accident at work. He's a New York City firefighter in Queens in the 135 ladder in Myrtle Ave, and he had an accident on one of the work ladders, and he passed away. And he loved being a firefighter more than he even loved being in a death metal band, and he loved being in a death metal band so much he couldn't even explain it. So, yeah, it's pretty wild that it happened like that, and we're just trying to roll with the punches, man. We had a tour lined up shortly after that, maybe 6-7 weeks after the accident. It was already in the works with Vader from Poland, full U.S. tour, and Billy wasn't able to do the first week of it, so we called our friend Kyle months and months and months before the accident even happened. Our friend Kyle Eddy from the band Foaming at the Mouth. They're from upstate New York, and we knew he was familiar with some of the Internal Bleeding songs because he toured with them on a tour Billy couldn't do in 2005. So this was the same situation. Billy wasn't able to do the first 1 or 2 weeks of this tour because of work. And I said, maybe we can get Kyle to do the shows so we don't have to cancel the tour. Billy could fly out to California and could do Las Vegas Death Fest or whatever, a couple of the select shows or whatever. I mean, it is what it is. And then the accident happened, and we went, oh, my God, what do we do? And we went, oh, Kyle's sort of still in the conversation, and we just kept rolling with it. Kyle ended up stepping up. He did the whole tour. We had such a great time with the kid, and he nailed it every night, played Billy's parts beautifully, and now he's a full-time member. We knew right away. I knew pretty much 30 seconds into the first practice with the kid. I was like, this is the dude that's going to save the band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's really respectable to be able to, because I remember when that tour was announced, and I remember the day that tragedy happened. I was at a show at Vitus, and I saw all the posts and everything about it. It was sad to see. I never had the privilege of meeting Billy, but from what everybody's been saying about him, he loved helping people. He made music that really relates to people and help people, and he risked his life every day as a firefighter. So,
yeah, there's no understating how nice and good of a guy he was. I mean, everybody says nice things in the wake of an accident, somebody passing away. He was actually the nicest and best dude of all time. You couldn't get him to fuck up and do something stupid. He was the nicest, the most level-headed, best dude you could ever imagine. Loved his family more than most do, I think. Bizarre that it happens like that it happens to good people, crazy events and accidents, and I feel a million different things about it every day. It's insane, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Sometimes it's tough to put into words because it's such an extraordinary situation that we're dealing with. It's rough. It's rough. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I know it is. But I give you guys so much credit for being able to go on because, it's almost cliche to say at some points, but nothing stops metal. Nothing stops moving forward. But you guys experienced a tragedy, lost not only a member, but a brother in a horrible way. And to be able to continue like that, I just think is truly remarkable. How different does it feel playing all those songs, without him?
It's a bizarre and tough thing to even say. Kyle Eddy has made it so easy that I feel like we haven't even missed a step. Sometimes I'm playing the songs and I go, holy shit, that's not Billy back there. Kyle plays them so perfect, and I almost feel guilty in a way that we're able to do it with such ease because shouldn't be easy, but for some reason we're making it easy because Kyle's such a pro and he studied Billy so hard back in the day. He made it so seamless for us, and it's truly like a blessing that we're even able to make this happen and make it happen as seamless as it was. You think back like Cliff Burton thing and Metallica and stuff, and like their train didn't stop rolling either, and I guess it was just something you have to do. But Kyle really makes it really, really easy for us because he's such a sick drummer and such a sick guy behind the scenes.
And had big shoes to fill, too.
He really did, though. And, it's tough to put it into words. I want to say a million different things about a million different things without losing focus. But Billy was pretty much irreplaceable. He's not a guy you replace. But we had to do what we can to move on. Kyle does it as sick as humanly possible, and it's really awesome that we're even in that position.
And Billy, I know, would definitely want you guys to continue on as well.
I mean, he did. Even with that tour, he went, shit, I probably can't do the first 2 weeks of that tour. It's a big tour. We got a sick new lineup. You guys got to go out and do that tour with Vader because it'll be really good for the band. He went, anybody you could think of, and boom, we had Kyle on deck before the accident even happened. So, like, Billy was always behind it. He went, you can't stop us. 2014, we did a tour with Cataclysm and Suffocation, and he wasn't able to do the meat of that tour. It was work season. He was able to do the first week down to Florida, and then Angel from Demolition Hammer was actually with us for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, shout out to Angel.
Hell yeah, Angel the man. Yeah. So Billy was always supportive of. He was never jealous if we were able to do something with Adam or had to do something with Adam. He went, oh no, you guys got to do it. You got to do it.
And an attitude like that is like the best attitude you could possibly have. The band plays on, and I think his spirit is. Do you feel his spirit when you perform?
It's wild because I was a fan before I was ever in the band, and my goal when I joined the band, I got asked to join the band in the touring respect before I was ever in full-time mode. I went, I want to make this as sick as possible because I'm an Internal Bleeding fan before, you know what I mean? So I want to give people the ultimate Internal Bleeding experience, you know what I mean? So sometimes I'm just like, oh, his songs, he never goes away. His spirit never leaves. He passed away a year ago, but he's literally with me every day because I play his songs every day. And I'm doing something that he had something to do with every day since then. So he's with us every day.
Absolutely. And the first time I saw Internal Bleeding was at the New York Death Fest last year at St. Vitus. So it was like, I think maybe 3 months at most since the tragedy. And I saw, a big banner dedicated to him. I was watching you guys from the bar because I had a little one too many. And
it's fine. It's heavy metal.
Yep. And got my ass kicked in the pit beforehand. But seeing you guys with Malignancy and Immortal Suffering and all the great New York City death metal bands and how you all came together, I thought that was a truly beautiful experience. I think not only did it represent how good of a band you guys are, but it represents the brotherhood that this community has.
Yeah, the outpouring of respect for Billy and his legacy was unprecedented. I never saw anything like it. All those cats that you mentioned. The night of the accident, all the guys from Dehumanized were over at our house, grieving, mourning. We sat around a fire, and those guys were there with us like fucking brothers, man. I'll never forget it. It was the worst night pretty much of my life, and at least I got to express it and feel it with a bunch of good guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was nice that they came out, man. And shout outs to everybody that showed love. I saw from all over the planet, man. Thank you to everybody who took a second to think about Billy, shout him out on stage, make a post about him online. I saw mad people tying ribbons around poles and trees and shit in his own hometown. Even that's incredible. So thank you for taking a second to think about a great guy.
Yeah. And I've noticed everybody really like all like the big metal sites, even, whether it would be Metal Injection or Loudwire or Metal Sucks, all those guys, they all dedicated, because we lost a lot of people last year, and they included Bill in it, which I thought was truly beautiful.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and that made me tear up. I mean, I never had the privilege of meeting Bill, but from everything you've been telling me right now and hearing about him, he seemed like an awesome guy and really contributed to the world of metal so much.
Yeah, it sucks that that's what it took to get us written up on those fucking websites. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad the scope of it was out there. I think Vice, Noisy did a thing on it, and you know me, it was a fucking rough time for us, so I was scoping those fucking comments, making sure people weren't, ripping on. And I actually saw almost nothing. I saw, in the world of heavy metal
internet.
blog sites and awful comments and things, about, want to see van flips and things like that. I saw almost nothing negative-wise. I saw almost zero jokes. So that's actually, I was like, wow, maybe people aren't completely awful.
Isn't it a shame that like tragedy kind of makes you realize that sometimes like people can be good? And
I know. I was actually impressed the level of restraint people had. I saw a few jokes on there, and I was like, no, it's not the time. But then I was like, you know what? But it really wasn't like egregious. I didn't see a lot of. I saw 99.99999% positive and beautiful things that people said. So it was.
And the 0.00001% are probably kids in their basement.
Exactly. But no, it was really. I mean, it was beautiful. It was an incredible amount of love, and we're still feeling it today. We just went to Europe, and every day there's somebody coming up to us and apologizing or grieving to us about the situation or thanking us for being there in the wake of the situation, or somebody gives us an envelope of money and says, "Give that to Billy's daughter, please," or something like that. Or it's pretty wild. So. It's nice that people are thinking about it because
absolutely, and
he doesn't completely go away when you're always thinking about it.
Absolutely. Is there anything you'd want to say to Billy's family? Just
thank you for letting us continue to do the band thing. They've been supportive of it. His mom and his brother are the best humans on planet Earth. Billy's brother does a foundation called the Fires and Drums Foundation with the FDNY. It's for supporting families that have that also go through situations like this.
Yeah, I just read that there was another firefighter who
I think just recently, yesterday or the day before, here in the city, firefighter. I don't know the details, but yeah, young guy, seemed like he had 2 or 3 daughters and shit. So it's like, so somebody needs help. People need help in that respect, and the Fires and Drums Foundation is big for that. And so shout out to Billy, Billy's brother, Bobby. We love you. And, of course, Billy's mom and stepfather, Frank, down in Florida. They still support everything we do. They never went, you guys shouldn't do this. You guys shouldn't continue the band. They went, oh, my God, you have to. We just went down there on tour, and Billy's mom had us over for lunch in Tampa. And it was pretty much the most emotional moment of my life. You know what I mean? It was rough, but we needed to do it. And she was just like, thank you guys for continuing the band, because that's what he would have wanted, And it makes her feel like he's sort of still around because we're continuing his legacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad that you used this tragedy, and it was really great that you guys were able to find strength with this to carry forward. I think that's a truly remarkable thing to do. And when I saw you guys, I really saw like a unity and brotherhood that can't be matched.
No, this is not a business thing. This isn't about a fucking money making t-shirt selling band. These are my fucking brothers in that band, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're here to do Internal Bleeding as sick as humanly possible in the wake of an insane situation that we've been given. We've been placed in, a crazy left turn. I was content with being a, semi well-known, mid-level death metal band for the rest of my life and playing some shows in Europe once in a while. Now we've been hit with this insane situation, with the accident with Billy, and we're more driven than ever to make sure Internal Bleeding, the flag is flown high,
And it definitely is. I mean, you guys were just on 70K as well, and
that was pretty sick, man. I
thought you guys were gonna sink the ship, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, we wanted to try and capsize that motherfucker. That was pretty sick. We had a really good time. I couldn't believe we were even asked to play it because we're not really like an epic, majestic band, and that's what I think of, like big, huge arena rocking bands. I don't really think of mosh pit bands like us and shit. But we had a really good time even when we were on that fucking thing, and I think we got a bunch of new fans, people that would never have checked us out to begin with. Seemed like they were headbanging,
and competing with bands like Dark Tranquillity or Sepultura.
Oh, it was sick. I mean, to even be on the same bill as bands like that, I was like, wow, it's pretty neat. In Extremo, I would never expect Internal Bleeding and In Extremo were on the same show. You know what I mean?
Did you feel any? I was curious, and I never really got a chance because I've been on cruises before, and I feel. Even inside the boat, it shakes sometimes. Did you guys lose your balance at all on stage?
No, I never noticed it once on stage. I noticed it in bed a few times, and I noticed it while I was watching Cannibal Corpse in the theater one time. Really bad. I went, this isn't my favorite thing. And I don't know if I really like this anymore. And at one point, I was laying down one night in bed, and we had just drank 1 million margaritas or something. And I felt like I was filled with fucking hot lava. And my bed was going like this. I was like, we need to go on the land soon. We need dry land soon. But other than that, it was actually fucking awesome. Didn't notice it on stage.
Puked on stage. That would have been pretty metal, though.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I'm sure Sean puked somewhere on the ship, not on stage.
Close enough. I mean, from what I heard about 70, you mentioned that you said you noticed it in bed a couple times. I was like, when the fuck did you have time to sleep on this damn thing?
It was. I mean, it's a long time. It's like 4 fucking days, man. And after a hearty meal at Johnny Rockets, you have no choice but to lay down for about 3 hours. So that was pretty much it.
Oh, God, Johnny Rockets.
Yeah, pretty sick. Pretty wild.
You should get an endorsement for bringing that up.
Yeah, seriously. It's the last thing I need. Fucking free cheeseburgers.
But overall, the cruise was a great experience. And you just went to Europe, you said, as well, right?
Yeah, we just got back from 3 weeks in Europe with a bunch of sick bands. Sacrificial Slaughter from California. Voices of Ruin from California. They're fucking awesome. Flesh Gore from the Ukraine, awesome brutal death metal band, and Macabre from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and they're like a shreddy ass tech metal thrash band, and they're definitely on their way to being one of like the next bands people are going to hear about. Macabre,
awesome,
from Wisconsin.
You heard it on Heavy New York.
To Prosthetic Records. They were fucking awesome.
They've been having a great roster, Prosthetic. They just signed this new band, Wormwitch, who played with Black Dahlia Murder recently, and they were really good.
Sick. So yeah, there you go. So if it's on Prosthetic, it's probably legit. So Macabre, check them out. But yeah, Europe was sick. We did Netherlands Death Fest. We fucking turned that place inside the fuck out. Mad stage diving and shit. We had a good time, man.
No amount of weed could get people laid back during your set there.
No, dude, you know what? That's weird too, because Holland, Netherlands is actually known for a place that they come out and they enjoy their heavy metal, but they'll kind of stand there like this, no matter how hard you're fucking rocking, and at the end they go, that was very nice. Okay, continue with the concert. They were fucking flipping out while we were playing. Big old fucking circle pit and stage divers and shit. So we woke those fucking dudes up. But, oh yeah, there was definitely weed smoked.
I can imagine.
Mad hash. It was
must
awesome.
Have saved you a fortune on a fog machine, though, right?
Yeah. I was the fog machine that night on stage. It was awesome.
But it's cool because when I listen to you guys, and we were going to talk about this, listening to you guys sound as classic as a death metal band could be. I think of Cannibal Corpse. I think of Morbid Angel, Deicide, whatever. And it's really cool because, like, I've noticed in New York City itself, there has been, like, a death metal scene, with band. I feel like Suffocation kind of started it, but bands like Malignancy, Immortal Suffering, Dehumanize, all have been around for a long time. So was that pretty much kind of like the scene that you guys were launched from, or do you kind of have, like, a different...
Yeah, I mean, like, IB, Suffo, Pyrexia kind of came up all at the same time in the early 90s. I mean, and I'm like, 10 years younger than the OG members or whatever. So me and Joe Marchese and Sean Kennedy, that era of dudes, the guys in the current lineup of IB, we kind of came up in like the Driven to Conquer, Onward to Mecca era, like late 90s, early 2000s era of Internal Bleeding. And, we found Dehumanize, Dying Fetus and bands like that, Soils of Fate, Vomit Remnants and bands like that. And those are the bands that we wanted to, model our bands after. We, Joe Marchese started a band called Revenants. I started a band called Without Remorse, both around 2003, 2004, but we really just wanted to be Internal Bleeding, Dying Fetus, and Suffo. That's the kinds of bands we wanted to be,
Of course.
And just over time, we ended up getting a chance to be in Internal Bleeding, so we're trying to do the sickest version of Internal Bleeding, that we can. So
Yeah, well, because it's funny, because a lot of people think of death metal in scenes. A lot of them jump to the conclusions of the Tampa scene with Obituary and all those guys. But, Cannibal Corpse coming from Buffalo, Suffo coming from, Long Island, and you guys and everything. It seems like New York City has, or Long Island area, has always had, like, a death metal scene in itself.
yeah, for sure. That's definitely credit to Pyrexia and Internal Bleeding and the Suffo guys. And Chuck Schuldiner was born on Long Island. I believe he was born in Manhasset, I think, before he was.
Ooh, take that, Tampa.
You dig? But yeah, I mean, heavy music on Long Island was always pretty prominent. I was never a big Long Island hardcore guy. That music never really struck me. New York City hardcore got me, Madball and Scarhead, bands like that. But it was really all about, my God, the first time I heard Driven to Conquer, Someone was like, hey, man, check this band out, Internal Bleeding. I fucking went to Record Town. It was FYE before it was Record Town. Before it was FYE, it was called Record Town. And
That was before my time.
hell yeah. You had to go into the fucking metal section or the rock and roll section or whatever. And boom, Driven to Conquer. And I pulled it out and it had the stupid plastic thing. And the girl had to rub it on the fucking magnet thing and take it out of the fucking thing with the clip. And it was $18.99 plus tax. And it was all the money I had at the time, you know what I mean? Probably being 16 years old with my fucking learner's permit. And I got in my Volvo with the CD changer in the trunk. And I popped it in. And I'm listening to it. And I'm like, oh my God. Falling down. I'm like, this is the sickest fucking band in the fucking world. I'm looking through the booklet and I'm like, they're from Lake Grove? That's where I live. How did I not know that? You know what I mean? So ended up seeing them live. Ended up becoming friendly with the guys in the area. Billy. I remember his big fucking silver kit at this place, Scooters in Patchogue. I was probably like 16, and he was just fucking smashing the shit out of that kit. I know I'm probably off on a tangent. I don't remember what we were talking about. I smoked pot before.
I don't give a fuck. Go off on tangents. I like it.
I think we're talking about Internal Bleeding, right? Me listening to them.
Yeah.
But
back in the Stone Age when you had to like.
Yeah. The Long Island bands, right? That's what we were listening to. But that's it, man. The Long Island bands were significantly cooler and funner and tougher than any of the other death metal bands in my eyes. You know what I mean?
Well, Suffo
and Pyrexia and Internal Bleeding, even Dehumanize. I'm like, there's something more simple and catchy and fun than all these other fucking bands are doing with their doodly shit. And it was just what caught me,
Of course. Well, it's funny because, like, I know you said you weren't really inspired by, like, the Long Island hardcore, but there's no doubt that it was such an influence, whether people realize it or not. And the hardcore movement had such a brotherhood, and I think that's what the death metal scene here kind of obtained from it.
Yeah, no, I definitely dig it. I definitely know a lot of people from that Long Island hardcore scene, and I understand it, and I appreciate it, but, the bands like... Vision of Disorder and Glassjaw, those type of bands. I never got into it. I just never fucking got into it.
To each his own. You started off very differently than I did. My first metal record being Hybrid Theory. So
was that Linkin Park?
Yeah.
All right. Saw them open up for Metallica a bunch of times back in the day. 2003, right? Okay. Summer Sanitarium.
Yep. I couldn't see them. I was in 3rd grade at that time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm an old piece of shit then. So I think I graduated high school already at that point.
What year did you graduate?
2002.
I was in 2nd grade.
Bizarre. That's insane. And now here we are as the same age.
Pretty much, right? Yeah. Pretty much. But with everything that's been happening for Eternal Bleeding, are you going to write, do we have new music coming along and everything? Or?
That's funny that you mentioned that. Actually, just yesterday we did the metronome. We did the tempo mapping for our 6th full-length album. It's going to be called Corrupting Influence. It's on Unique Leader Records, and it comes out in like September or October. There's no real set date. But we literally just started tracking it yesterday, and we ship it off in a few weeks. The songs are done, at least up here. So now I got to put them on Pro Tools over at Full Force Studio with Joe Sincata.
And auto-tune the hell out of it.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be plenty of auto-tune on it. Plenty of crazy effects, man. Nah, Eternal Bleeding is mad straightforward. And we just fucking do what we do. There's some sick riffs on there and some fucking hard-ass parts. Joe's vocals are fucking wild. Got a couple cool guest vocalists on there that I won't divulge just yet. But it's going to be sick, man. We're pretty pumped about it. Billy's legacy lives on. He helped us write about 3 or 4 of the songs that will be making it to the album. So that's really cool. A lot of his drum beats are being used. And there's 5 or 6 other brand new ones that I think are pretty hard, man. It's a little more straightforward, I think, than Imperium, the last album. A little less fancy, I think, but that's just because I wrote it and I don't do fancy shit. But it's going to be sick. I think people are going to like it. I think some people will probably fucking hate it, but some should like it.
'em.
I think it's pretty catchy, and it should be fun. And everybody I've showed it to kind of does this when they listen to it, and that's kind of what I want.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about your music, that it is straightforward to the face. You guys don't necessarily hold back, and after everything that's happened, I feel like you're just gonna go full force with it too.
Yeah, oh yeah. Billy always wanted us to be as tough and groovy and catchy as possible. So I'm trying to take that into the new songs, and try to be as tough and groovy and catchy as possible. I don't really know how to. I'm not a fancy, guitar playing doodly doodly guy, so there's none of that on the fucking CD. It's straightforward, it's tough. Maybe it's a little more thrashy than the last one. I don't know. But there's a couple classic Chris Pravelis riffs on there. There's a couple wacky left field parts, with Pravelis' love for Black Sabbath definitely shining through on this album in a few songs. And we're just fucking going for it, man.
Excellent. Well, I want to truly thank you so
Oh,
much
dude,
for your
thanks,
time.
man. Thank you.
It was great to dedicate this to Bill. I know that he's with us right now.
Yeah, man. I know it. A little incoherent at points. I'm like, all over the place with my thoughts and shit like that, especially when it comes to the stuff with Billy. I have a million things to say about it, and I have a million things I feel about it all at the same time. So it's tough to focus my, one thing I'm trying to say about it. But, the Fires and Drums Foundation and the William N. Tolley Educational Fund through the FDNY, if anybody wants to donate to either of those are beautiful charities in his name. And Internal Bleeding is fucking forever, man. We're driven to conquer all, and we're going to keep doing this shit. And it's for Billy. Every note we play, every mile we travel, we're doing it. It's not about fucking making money. Death metal don't make no money. This is about making sure people know Internal Bleeding is the sickest fucking band of all time. So,
and people will realize it.
Cool.
And there'll be a link in the description to all those charities that he just mentioned. Please donate.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you next time, everybody.
Cheers.